Top 10 Cycling Fail Moments. Hello YouTube! Today we share with you a compilation of 10 cycling fail moments that will make you cringe and feel thankful that it wasn't you. The last time I remember suffering from an epic fail on a bike was when I was really young. Then again, I haven't really been on a bike in forever, so if I jumped back on one, I would more than likely fall on my face. Some of these cyclists may have practiced tricks and routes and yet still manage to fail, while others are not so lucky. It stuns me how some of these cyclists just walk away from their epic fail instead of being dead or severely injured. So here are the top 10 cycling fail moments. Be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification to get notified every time we post new videos. Number 10. Helicopter blows cyclists off their bikes during road race. The title is as dramatic as the events that took place on the day. Whether it's movement to avoid roadblocks or a rider not paying attention, there are plenty of hazards when riding. But one danger you wouldn't expect to face is being blown off course by a helicopter taking off just meters from your race. Imagine casually getting blown off of your bike by a helicopter. However, for a group of cyclists, that wasn't the case. They were blown off the road by the downdraft of a helicopter during a road race in the Czech Republic. However, for a group of cyclists, getting blown off their bikes was exactly what happened when they were hit by a downdraft from a helicopter during a road race in the Czech Republic. The helicopter took off just as the riders passed. The front of the peloton got by, but other riders were blown sideways off their bikes, which rippled through the field. Even though some viewers criticized the helicopter pilot for causing the crash, witnesses who saw the incident firsthand reported the helicopter to be an air ambulance that had been called to treat a racer who was injured during the race, and that the peloton wasn't near when the aircraft started taking off. Number 9. Huge finish line crash at Gran Fondo, Malaysia. When you see the finish line, you'd be happy to conclude that you've beaten all odds and you're on your way to victory. For two ambitious cyclists, this wasn't the case. This video shows how the two riders mix it up and slide under the finish banner at CIMBC Cycle Gran Fondo, Malaysia. The 160-kilometer Gran Fondo route, which began and ended at the Ministry of Finance building in Putrajaya, took riders past wildlife reserves, historic sites, and the iconic Merku Tanda Putrajaya landmark. With over 3,000 meters of climbing, it was quite unfortunate that these riders had to face their fail just at the end. In the video, you can hear the full impact as the riders yell to the other riders and plows into spectators. Luckily, despite being bruised and scraped, both riders escaped without major injuries. Let's just say it was a rough ending to a very smooth event, which hosted 3,700 cyclists from 26 different countries. Number 8. Mountain of Hell. There's a reason why they call it that. Imagine falling 11,000 feet down the face of a glacier with thousands of other mountain bikers. If you hadn't guessed, that's probably a bad idea. The annual Mountain of Hell race took place at Les Deux Alpes ski resort in France, and it was the brewing of tragedies. Just minutes after the start, there was a hellish pileup as one rider near the front of the pack came off and hit another, which set off a domino effect of riders crashing, all at high speeds. Unbelievably, no one was seriously hurt despite riders crashing into each other, flipping head over heels, and riders taking each other out. This footage wouldn't have been possible without the help of one rider's helmet-mounted camera, which was able to capture the first crash that set off a chain reaction. Crazy, right? Number 7. Wipeout. Cyclist taken out by a deer while descending mount. A cyclist in the US was terrified when a deer ran out between him and other riders in a group he was descending with in Tucson, Arizona. The incident occurred on the Mount Lemmon Highway. With no warning, a deer shot between the last rider in the group and those ahead. The cyclist hit the deer, descending the 35-kilometer long climb of Mount Lemmon, and was thrown off his bike. The bike broke in two and bounced across the road, just missing an oncoming cyclist going up the climb. The cyclist had no time to react, and the incident was recorded on a backwards-facing camera from the rider ahead of him. The footage emerged on YouTube, though the cyclist involved in the incident hasn't been identified. In the video, the deer struggles to its feet in shock and runs away, shaken, but not hurt. It left the crime scene before charges were even pressed. The cyclist sustained road rash, a broken foot, and not to mention, a broken bike. Number 6. Spanish cyclist rescued while crossing Siberia in negative 50 degrees Celsius temperatures. Cycling in the middle of harsh weather conditions is risky and dangerous, especially if thick ice is involved. Jose Andres Abian, a 48-year-old janitor from Zaragoza in Spain, plan to cross Siberia by bicycle in the middle of winter. Abian, who has 20 years of cycling experience, has traveled on 2 wheels through Iceland, Mongolia, Iran, and India, and had set out to make a 4,000-kilometer solo attempt across frozen Russia. After completing 50 kilometers and preparing to put up a tent he was carrying, a stupid mistake nearly cost him his life. Jose Andres took his hand out of his glove to mount the tent pole faster, without taking into account that the temperature was negative 50 degrees Celsius. In just a few minutes, his fingers went black with frostbite as it was so cold. The adventure cyclist trip was about to end in tragedy. However, Abian quickly got into his tent to try and keep warm. Luckily, some Russians came past in a car and stopped to help him. They saw that he had black fingers and one leg was also showing signs of frostbite too. They quickly put him in their car and took him to the hospital in the town of Magadan. Hope you're enjoying our picks so far. We have more interesting moments lined up for you in our top 5. Before we get to that, why don't you comment below telling us any cycling fails you or someone close to you may have experienced. Mostly the hilarious ones for some good laughs, please. I guess tragedies are okay too. We'll just be sure to send you some virtual hugs. Number 5. Velodrome trick goes wrong. Bizarre footage of a rider captured trying to clear a gap in a velodrome track and failing spectacularly emerged on the internet and went viral on Twitter with over 700 retweets and 1,000 likes on the social network. It's not clear when the footage was shot or who took it originally, with the video uploaded to Twitter by French Hour record holder Francois Lamarode, who said, "When you're undecided over a career on the track or in cyclocross." In the video, the front bicycle wheel makes contact with a gap in the track and the rider is catapulted over the handlebars. Luckily, he's wearing a helmet as the rider seems to have come out of the incident completely unscathed. Number 4. Cyclist suffers unbelievable injuries from handlebars. This looks like a bad horror story or some really good Photoshop skills. This image is of a cyclist who received shocking injuries after being impaled by his handlebars in a freak accident. Reports claim the cyclist was trying to avoid another cyclist who fell during an MTB race, but during this maneuver, he fell onto his handlebars. So far so good, but as the two lay on the ground, another cyclist fell on top of him. With the force of 2 people, the handlebar cut right through him. Ouch. The images are so unbelievable that many have alleged them to be false, but others have defended the photos, saying the cyclist indeed was injured. The handlebars don't seem to have end plugs, which could be a major factor. The bike was quickly dismantled and the rider who was impaled on the handlebars was rushed to the hospital by emergency services to be operated on. With the information gathered, the cyclist was from the Czech Republic and rides for Nilfisk ALTO Pro MTB cycling team. What do you think about the photo? Do you think it's real? Number 3. Descend like Froome turns into nightmare. Chris Froome's descent of the Col de Parasaude on stage 8 of the 2016 Tour de France, where he was tucked precariously low and forward on his top tube, pedaling like mad, was so unusual, awkward, and effective that it sparked a mixture of revulsion and Sunday club run copycats. A cyclist was recently filmed trying to descend like Froome and Sagan by sitting on the top tube, leaning forwards to get as aerodynamic as possible. However, his attempt didn't go so well, and the results weren't what he expected. This footage comes with a disclaimer that you should not try this at home, folks. And with that, it's now time for today's best pick. Today's photo was sent to us by a subscriber, so if you come across a photo online and want to know more details about it, just send it over to us. We might even feature it on our future videos. Number 2. A big save. Even though today's list featured some top cycling fail moments, the photo sent to us by one of our subscribers features a great comeback. This is a photo of Danny Van Poppel's incredible crash save in Tour de Suisse. Team Sky's Danny Van Poppel showed some incredible skill by managing to stay upright in this race. In the 4th stage of the Tour de Suisse, Danny Van Poppel was in 4th position going into the final corner when he went wide and just about managed to avoid crashing. Van Poppel came close to clipping the barriers, and if he had fallen, it could have resulted in a bunch of people falling over. Number 1. 7 fractured ribs and 2 spinal fractures. As always, we save the most epic moment, or fail, on the top of our list. This is by far the worst fall on this list because the cyclist succumbed to the injuries. Jan Bakelants was on the descent of Sermano when he crashed on the same bend as Laurens de Pleu did when he hit a guardrail, tumbling over and falling into a ravine. His bike was found later hanging from a tree, as the force of the impact was so great. The Belgian rider was then taken to Como Hospital and was reported to have suffered 7 fractured ribs and injured 2 vertebrae in his lower back in the crash. Thanks for watching!